What's going on, guys? Kevin the Tech Ninja here, and today I'm going to talk to you about my 2 weeks with the OnePlus 7 Pro. It's not a full review because it takes me about 30 days of usage to give a full review. But in today's video, we're gonna talk about tips and tricks, how I use it, things I've ran into, what I like and what I don't like. Hang on to your butts, boys and girls, and let's dive into it. The current version I have is 12 gigabytes with 256 gigabytes of storage, which is the highest spec'd out version available. It retails for $750, and that lands it right in the price point of the Galaxy S10e and the iPhone XR. You can also get a version with 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage for $669, and within that price point, it's a heck of a phone. And of course, a little bit later in the video, we're gonna talk about RAM usage. You know, do you need that extra RAM? Is that a requirement? Or for $669, can you get away with using that variant and still have the same performance that you get with the spec'd out version? So the very first time of holding the phone in my hand, my initial impressions, and my impression number one is this phone is pretty big. As a 10s Max user or a S10 Plus user, the phone still felt pretty big. It also felt thick and it felt very hefty. But after that, it felt nice. It felt like a premium phone. The screen was curved, it had tapered edges, and it just felt really good in the hand. The second thing I thought about as soon as we got the phone unlocked is that screen is everything that the hype has led it to be, and I can confirm the hype. The screen is really, really good. I guess back to the size, if you compare it to the iPhone XS Max, the iPhone XR, the S10 Plus, the OnePlus 6, I mean, almost every other phone, that this phone is noticeably much bigger. So if you have small hands or you prefer a smaller phone, you should definitely stay away from this one, as this phone is very large. But staying on the design of this phone, it is definitely 2019 flagship feeling. So what I mean by that is that it has the glass sandwich. Glass on the front with a little bit of metal on the sides, and then glass on the back. It actually comes in a few different colors. The one that I have is blue, and it looks really great. It's even color shifting a little bit if you get it at the right angle. It's reflective, it shimmers, and it's just an absolute joy to look at. But sadly, within a few seconds, it does get fingerprints quickly, just like any other phone with a glass backing. Luckily, my sponsor Dbrand has something to say about that. They provide the world's best premium skins. They cover up the back in those fingerprints and also makes it less slippery, giving you a little bit of texture. Also, they have some really dope colors to look at. Hit the links down below to Dbrand your OnePlus. Now, staying on the back, you have your 3 cameras: standard focal length, 3x zoom, and that wide angle. I'll discuss the cameras a little bit later in this video, but I'm going to leave my final opinions for my full review, as I didn't take a lot of pictures in tons of different scenarios, and I heard there's a major update coming really soon. But I will also share some camera samples, and you can find those linked down below. Under the camera, you have a flash. You also have the OnePlus logo, and under that is the OnePlus insignia. The back feels extremely busy for an otherwise elegant looking phone. On the right hand side, there is a sound toggle button, and this button is textured, and this feels really good. It lets you flip between silent, vibrate, and also ring. And this is a feature I wish all phones had. I mean, you go into a place that you don't want your phone ringing, you simply toggle it down to vibrate, and you see it, you feel it, and you hear it vibrate. And that's just a great feeling. And yeah, on the left flank, you have your volume rockers, and up top, the OnePlus is hiding something. And by now, you know what that something is. It's a camera. You can activate the camera by flipping to the front-facing camera, and the camera just slides up in a futuristic manner. It looks like something out of a James Bond film. So enough with the vanity. It's a great phone, it's pretty, we all knew that. But how does the phone run? How does it compare to other phones, and what do I think? So there is a on-screen fingerprint scanner, and it's actually really good. The one on OnePlus 6 fast is fantastic and works almost every single time. But I still prefer this over Face ID, which requires extra steps to get into your phone. It also has this really cool green glowing thing when you do it, but you can always change that in settings if you wish. Once you are in the phone, you are blessed with this glorious screen that the PC Master Race users would actually enjoy. It's a 90 Hz screen, meaning it's just a faster screen. And comparing it to the S10 in slow motion, you can definitely see the difference between swiping and scrolling. It's something you need to see in person to truly appreciate, but even people who don't know about Hertz and all those things, when they look at it, they say, wow, something is just different about this phone. And that different thing is more than likely that 90 Hz screen. Oxygen OS is a very light OS. It actually feels like a custom ROM from back in the day. It gives you a very stock-like appearance for Android, and then it starts to enhance on top of it. You don't have double apps and redundancies and tons of menus. No, it's clear, it's concise, but it's deep. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about Oxygen OS. Tons of different features that I could even make a whole video on to talk about. With a phone with this much horsepower, you can expect performance to be amazing. And it is. Qualcomm Snapdragon processor is just a beast and no bones about it, but when you add on the Oxygen OS, you add on 12 gigabytes of RAM, then you have a elixir for very fast performance, and you definitely get that with the OnePlus 7 Pro. OnePlus 7 Pro is the fastest, most buttery smooth phone that I've used on Android. Take that back, that I've used, period. Everything is fantastic. You switch between apps, it doesn't reload apps. You go, you scroll all the way back to apps you haven't used for days, you click into it and it's still there. So definitely with extra gigabytes of RAM, you are taking advantage of that, of having more apps in memory. Further testing is needed, but it looks like on average, I'm using around 6 gigabytes of RAM on my phone. So if you have the 8 gigabyte variant, you still have 2 gigabytes to go as far as usage. So would that make opening apps a little bit slower or faster? It could, but I'm not using anywhere near the 12 gigabytes of RAM in my actual memory. So I don't really foresee 12 gigabytes of RAM being extremely important, but maybe when more apps like Adobe's video editing software, Adobe Rush, comes out to all Android devices, maybe then. But even when playing games like PUBG on the phone, I'm still able to get out of it, do something else, come right back into it and not lose my spot in the game. As far as battery life, I found that 90 Hz gives you around 1 hour less of screen on time, but definitely more testing is required. Regardless, I'm still getting over 5 hours of screen on time with battery around 25% by the end of the day. As I said before, I could talk about camera a little bit. I can't dive into it super far, but I will tell you that the camera is actually pretty good. It's not as good as the Galaxy S10, not as good as the Pixel, not as good as the iPhone, but it is actually a pretty good camera. But that kind of left me a little bit disappointed as OnePlus really gave a lot of good information about the camera during the presentation. They had like 20 minutes of camera talk, and I think it's just still missing the mark. So if I do like a burst photo, I'm not getting as many shots as I would with an S10 or an iPhone. And also the wide angle lens, it's very good. It definitely wins some points by having that. And then you do have that zoom lens too. So a lot of people are having this conversation about, hey, it's a 48 megapixel sensor, but the zoom shot is not using all 48 megapixels. It's actually cropping in to give you a smaller megapixel shot. There's a big conversation about that. I'm gonna link that down below for people who are more intelligent than I am to talk about the camera. For what I'm saying, it's a good camera, but it's not one of the best cameras on Android. I don't care what DxOMark is saying. I think you get pretty good shots, you get passable shots. The front-facing camera to me still feels a little bit soft. You're not really getting that great contrast as you would with a Pixel or even an S10 in some circumstances. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts and opinions of the OnePlus 7 Pro so far. It's been a blast to use. Like I said, it's the best Android phone I've used in, I guess, when you look at a 2-week period, compared to other phones that I've had for a 2-week period, this is the best phone that I've used for this 2-week period. So things can change with updates. Things can change after I get a month and I find some things, some oddities that I don't like. But until then, yeah, this is how I feel. OnePlus 7 Pro is a major go. If you're on the fence about buying it, just go ahead and pick one up. I really think it's worth it. But always stay tuned to my 30-day review, which will be out in about 2 weeks. Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.